Dream warrior, ain't gonna dream no more. I'm a dream warrior.
Recorded live from the dungeon, this is the Dream Warrior Review, and I'm Kurt Thomas.
And coming at you live from the hills of Tennessee,
I'm Mick Strawn.
Mick Strawn.
Let's talk about the last man on Earth.
So it came out of a book written by a guy named Richard Matheson, and it was in 1954 he wrote this book called I Am Legend.
Richard Matheson wrote this book, and this book has been so damn many movies.
Yes. Well, 2007, I Am Legend with Will Smith.
Right.
Years after a plague kills most of humanity and transforms the rest into monsters, the sole survivor of New York City struggles valiantly to find a cure in this post-apocalyptic thriller. That's the description there. And then Omega Man with Charlton Heston.
I love Omega
Dr.
Man.
Robert Neville struggles to create a cure for the plague that wiped out the most of human race, while the family a savage Luddite death cult formed by the zombie-like infected to erase the past. I'm trying to read as fast as possible. It's really hard.
Wow, I like how you went over Luddite death cult like you were jumping a high jump. It was awesome.
I was having trouble reading that one.
You were right there.
Like,
you were
am I
on
pronouncing it right? And then back to 1964. When a disease turns all of humanity into the living dead, the last man on Earth, Vincent Price, becomes a reluctant vampire hunter. Which, I think I'm confused because were they zombies or vampires or a mix of both?
It was, you know what? It really wasn't clear, but I think that at the beginning it wasn't clear, but obviously they were definitely using the rules of the vampire and not the rules of the zombies.
Yes, I agree.
I'm just saying, it depends on what rules you're using. It really does.
Oh, well, one thing I wanted to mention, maybe it's too early to mention this, but this is 4 years before Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, and boy, there are some similarities on here.
I thought so too. Yeah.
This is like, and you know what? It made me think about this. Is the difference between the Night of the Living Dead movies and vampire movies? Or vampires are always a bunch of elitist pricks, and they're a small group,
right?
Of elitist pricks, right?
Yeah.
And this was a very non-discerning group.
Yes,
most of your zombies are, if nothing else, pretty damn egalitarian. I have to tell you,
right?
It's a group that anybody can get into. Just anybody, just anyone.
All you gotta do is be able to breathe.
All you have to be no. See, you don't even need that.
Right. Well, one thing I thought was interesting was that, obviously there's a lot of relation to what's going on right now. Oh, right. I wonder if this disease is airborne.
Right.
Then, but Ben, the guy who's supposed to be a scientist who's paranoid, instead of wearing a mask because it's airborne, he's putting garlic up on his door.
Right. Well, whatever works,
Right.
Garlic. I think it'd be great to strap on a couple of garlic and go out, these days I'm in Tennessee. I'm sure that it just befuddled the living funk out of everybody here. What the hell?
I've lived in Tennessee before, and there kind of is a living funk there.
Yeah, that's exactly. As I've said many, many times, Tennessee is kind of what Gabriel Garcia Marquez said about South America, that it's the most beautiful place on the earth, so he made South Americans to equal it out. That's how I feel about Tennessee.
Well, I don't know. I feel like I might like this one more than you do, because I think I like how...
No. Get me wrong.
You just seem calm, like, oh yeah.
I have to tell you, the thing is I find it very hard to get up and cheer don't get me wrong. Vincent Price is one of my favorite people to watch, but it's for the subtlety of what Vincent Price is. You know what I'm saying? He just has this way about him that is just so Vincent Price. It's like he's not even a human being. You know what I'm saying?
Well, one thing I liked about this, actually, that I've made a note of was that Vincent Price, especially the earlier movies with Corman,
right?
He was a little bit over the top, like very over the top with his dramatic acting.
Right.
But this was like low key, like
he was very low key.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was great because you could obviously tell that the 3 years had worn on him.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was almost like an American wearing a mask for 2 months, and then and then being faced with an empty Facebook screen, right?
More like 2 days.
Or 2 days.
Americans have no patience.
No patience with anything.
Well, I don't know. It's interesting you mentioned that because I didn't think about it that way, because I was thinking like he was playing this kind of low key, like just like it's real, and I thought it might be boring for some people because it's kind of like how it might play out. Like it's not dramatic at all, like the I Am Legend one with Will Smith. It wasn't like it's more low key and just kind of very little sound, very little happening. But I thought he was a little awkward, didn't he? It seems like he was awkward when he did physical things, like when he tried to lift things.
Yeah. No, it isn't like he was a superhero.
No, no.
You know, I mean.
But I guess he was tired. I don't think I ever saw him eat.
Yeah, you're just tired. I am so tired. I'm tired of playing the game.
Yeah, well, this was all about, for me, it seemed like it was all about isolation and sadness, and
and it did get that feeling really well, and I thought that, you see, one thing is that the abandoned town. I'd like to find out the name of the abandoned town that they filmed most of this in, because that town actually has come up before.
Oh, really?
It's an actual abandoned area, and I can't remember what it was that it was abandoned for, but that's why you can get so many great shots there. And there was a couple of things that really got me that were the limitations of a budget of a European film, and I thought that they were really funny. was that they kept filming these bodies at the very beginning, right? You know, when you were looking at that city and stuff.
Oh, this was Italy, right?
Yeah, it was Italy, and supposedly it was supposed to be America. It was supposed to be America, but it was filmed in Italy for America. And there were these 3 guys that they didn't even change their clothes, and they're the same 3 guys just laying different every shot, and they did these really obvious shots. Same 3 guys.
Yeah, that was a little weird. And why were there only 3 bodies in every shot, and they were spread out evenly?
Yeah, it's because it was the other 2 guys. It was the other 3 guys on the film crew. That's what it was. The driver, the PA, and the producer.
Right, exactly. Well, I thought I kind of like the fact that this was all about the isolation. I mean, if I was living by myself right now, I'd probably be more affected by it.
Right.
But it's totally different than like Omega Man and like Will Smith. It's about like Charlton Heston was all about ego and like this guy battling against the zombies.
Oh, yeah. Omega Man was this guy was it was obvious he was a scientist and he was using his brain. But you know what was really interesting was that it wasn't clear for the longest time, and I don't know how I twigged to it, because I don't think that there was ever anybody that came out and said it, and there certainly wasn't a moment for it, but that he was immune.
Right.
Yeah. You know, it's just that you kind of had to figure out that he was immune as things went along.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Then he buried the dog, and I'm like, oh, he's like, well, there's no point now. There's no hope. And then, of course, well, maybe not.
Didn't you wonder yourself when he buried the dog where the stick went?
Well, he was walking a little funny afterwards.
He was walking a little funny afterwards.
Well, one thing that also, he was playing it low key, but then didn't you think his narration was amazing? Of course, it's Vincent Price doing his narration.
Well, yeah, you know, and here's the other thing is if there was anything that was slightly over the top. It was the narration, but it was Vincent Price.
Right. Yeah.
Because you kind of had everybody's always had a problem with this story, is in that technically you're not going to talk in this story for what, 7/8 of it?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Because that whole explanation of where you are and how the pandemic, that whole explanation part doesn't have any dialogue in it. So it's all the read over dialogue for it.
Yeah, right.
And
yeah.
I love that fact that it was him that was doing the read over dialogue. I mean,
well, it was also different than like Charlton Heston's take on it. Would be more like, out of my cold damn hand.
Yeah, no, he was very dramatic. That way over dramatic, but
that was a horrible Charlton Heston.
I don't know who that was.
Let's see if I can do Vincent Price.
Yeah.
Well, I was lonely.
No.
No. That was Psycho. That was
right.
So
I also like the scene where he's dumping the body. Speaking of that,
yeah,
where later on he runs into the guy, the military guy. And the guy takes his mask off and says, "I don't know where this truck came from. I just got out of it, but I don't." There's some things in here that
I like that. I like the part where he says, the military guy, he had a real preacherism to him, because is that my daughter?
Right.
Is that my daughter? And the military man turns to him and goes, "That's everyone's daughter. It's my daughter. It's his daughter." You're going, what?
I thought he meant that his daughter was in there too.
Well, no, I think it might have been, but I had a feeling that it was a little bit more, how you say, pan emotional. Everybody.
Yeah.
It's everybody's everything. Damn it, Jim. So
I like one thing I liked is that they I like how they handled the daughter and how she just kind of one day wasn't there in bed. Like I just thought that was
right.
That would be like the worst thing as a dad to like come home.
Yeah,
like,
the horror of it.
Yeah,
the horror.
I think they could have played on that a little bit more. Maybe with sound or something.
I think he was a little naive not to immediately know as he walks by the truck that's parked in front of his house.
Right, and his wife looks depressed.
And his wife looks depressed, not being able to figure out exactly what's going on.
Exactly.
Now there was something though is, and you may have noticed it, that the military vehicles were obviously from a foreign country. I mean,
very clearly, yes.
And that there were only 2 American cars used in the whole film.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. One of them is a Ford station wagon. The other one is a black Chevy.
And the garages and everything were a lot smaller.
Yeah. Right. And the garages. It's funny. I actually did notice that. I thought, when he closed the garage door, it bumped the back of the car, and you're like going, "Wow, well, that's not American. That's not an American garage. What are you nuts?
I don't know. Well, actually, one thing really struck me. I didn't think about this till later, till after I watched it, like 2 hours after I watched it. I was like, wait a minute, there's something that was even more depressing than the isolation and the depression. Was the fact that the zombie vampires, whatever they were, had minds still, because they were afraid to look at their own reflection. I mean, they obviously were thinking. They had cognition there.
And they had like half a mind.
Yeah. And Ben was like wanting revenge. He was like, Morgan,
Morgan.
But she had a great voice. I love his deep voice.
Yeah, Morgan. But the interesting thing is that then they had the hybrids that had gotten half of a cure.
Yeah. The mutants, he called them.
The mutants.
The freaks.
Yeah, it got a little weird there.
Yeah, totally.
It really did. Because then I was like trying to follow who's what. And
well, they're like, how do we wrap this up really quick?
That's exactly
we have 2 scenes to work with. But I did like I am the last man.
I'm the last man.
I want to see Charlton Heston's Omega Man now, because I want to see how he played that.
Oh, don't you remember how he played it?
It's been a long time since I've seen it.
some of the survivors come through the and he's got the flask of his blood. Remember, it was in his hands, and he he tips the blood into the hands of the little rebel group, and they run away. Right?
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. Yeah, I was going for that, but if you look behind you, you can see that that's an American station wagon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Right
and then that's obviously a European, Ferris wheel. But man, the military vehicles were so obviously European. It was a lot. But the funny thing about it is the dreariness.
Yes.
Of because that particular city had been abandoned for a while back then, and it comes up always in one of those stupid lists of like, look at the 10 most amazing abandoned villages, right? And
right, yeah.
Okay, whatever. But that it did have that look like it had been abandoned for a long time. And I'm going to say I did like this film. I for one thing, Vincent Price is just an absolutely riveting. He's a riveting actor. I mean, you can't not watch him.
Yeah. Well, I didn't really get into Vincent Price until I saw the Edgar Allan, because I've always been into Edgar Allan Poe. So when I saw those movies, that's when I learned who he was.
Yeah, right.
Which is very like over the top, like I said. So this was kind of a nice break. But no, I like the whole thing. I mean, the sadness was great. I mean, actually, what's funny, I was thinking about the Will Smith one. In fact, I even have a copy of it, I think. But I think that some parts of that were done pretty well, but I thought it was more about Will Smith than anything else.
Overall, I have to tell you, is of the three, Omega Man, Last Man on Earth, and I Am Legend. I Am Legend absolutely doesn't touch either one of these.
Right.
I mean, these are so much better, and I'm still gonna say the Omega Man. It's just my favorite.
Well, somebody needs to make like maybe a George C. Romero could like do a remake of this one.
There you go.
Just saying. I'm available for work, by the way.
Yeah. Are ya?
But anyway.
So I want to. What do I want to do? Maybe give this a 3.6.
Well, I feel like Vincent Price
really
is on a couch somewhere looking depressed because you gave it a 3.6.
Wow.
I think. Wow. I actually would give this probably higher. I'd probably get like 3.8, a little bit touch higher.
Yeah, that's a little bit light. You know what?
Because I'd give like I Am Legend with Will Smith probably 3.2, maybe 3. And then Omega Man. I don't remember.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but see, I do. I saw Omega Man in the theaters a couple of times.
Wow.
Yeah, back in the day.
What year was that? That was 1971. That was before I was born.
Yeah, but it was before we had clocks. Calendars. Clocks and calendars, and it was horse-drawn.
We had sundials.
You get there, sundials, yeah. Everything was done with a flame, so it was really dim in the theater, So anyway,
so that was an excellent review. I think we did good on this one.
There we go. Hey, listen, can I do a shout out here?
No.
Okay, here's a shout out coming to. We are going to have some guests on in August.
Yes.
And we are going to be showing a new look. And we may be even messing with the profile things, you don't know. But we're gonna have a new look. We're gonna have some new music. We're gonna kick it up a notch.
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm really excited. I can't wait. Actually, I'm really excited because I've been spending at least an hour or two just about every day just learning DaVinci Resolve by going, I want to do this. YouTube. Okay, let me try that. Okay, I think I figured it out. And then I've gotten like a few seconds at a time.
For the opening, we're actually going to bring Brandon Lane on, who's actually done our new art. and we're gonna bring on the guy who did our music and
Oh, Josh. I can't
Josh.
remember his last name. Josh.
You know,
yeah.
I was going with Jason, and I always stop and I go, it's not Jason, it's Josh. Oh, damn it, get it right. So anyway.
It happens. Well, here's a sneak preview. I'm going to show you the first page of the storyboard I made for the intro.
You do that. Let's see it. Woohoo! Woohoo! Oh, just go like this.
See.
There you go. Okay, now I can read it. Yeah.
And we have actually a talented artist working on some of the elements for this.
Yeah, my granddaughter.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't know. I don't know why it's. I'd be worried. I'd be probably having to talk to her therapist because if she wants to do work for our show, you gotta wonder about her.
You know,
she just has immaculate taste. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Talent will out. Okay, so keep on doing whatever the hell it is you do.
I think it's disgusting, but
whoever the hell you are.
Whatever you were into, I guess. But I think it's kind of gross.
Yeah, enough of that. Bye.